Tour the World is brought to you by Evergreen Tours, a world of discovery. And TFE Hotels, more ways to stay. Visit tfehotels.com. G'day and welcome to Tour the World. Now, we join Aussie travellers on tour to some pretty amazing destinations. And this week, one that is absolutely renowned for its hospitality. More on that in a moment. Right now, though, we're feeling right at home here at the brand new Vibe Hotel in Marysville in regional Victoria as we continue to showcase some amazing Aussie accommodation options. We'll take a look around shortly, but right now, time to climb on board for part one of Complete Eastern USA with Evergreen Tours. The Big Five for this week explore one of the world's cultural capitals, New York City. Tasty tucker abounds in the USA, including local specialties like the Philly cheesesteak. We get to know the founding fathers at Mount Vernon and Colonial Williamsburg. The holiday's definitely over for your credit card in New York's Fifth Avenue. And relax on an overnight stay in the beautiful Blue Ridge Mountains of Shenandoah National Park. This incredible 21-day tour gets underway in New York City before heading south to the capital, Washington, D.C. and Colonial Williamsburg. We journey on to the deep south, including gorgeous Charleston and Savannah, Atlanta, and on to the home of country music, Nashville. No stay in Memphis would be complete without a visit to Graceland. And our tour ends in fabulous New Orleans, the birthplace of jazz. Welcome to the USA, an amazing travel destination that's like no other. Having always wanted to drive through the eastern states, for me this trip is a dream come true, and it's one I'll always remember. Packed with music and culture, along with an extraordinary history that shaped the world as we know it. Time to check in with our tour guide Peggy to find out what she loves most about this remarkable tour.
My favorite part of New York is walking down Fifth Avenue from Central Park all the way up to Rockefeller Center. I think it's just, to me, it epitomizes the way New York has always been with the elegance, the elegant apartments, condominiums, the doorman standing outside, the dog walkers. I think it's just a real experience.
And it's like stepping onto a movie set.
It is. If you've seen some of the old movies on TV, even the black and white ones. I think I'm looking forward to you seeing New Orleans the most. It's the most European American city that we have. It's right on the banks of the Mississippi River. You can not spend one penny and sit in the French Quarter on a bench for a whole day and be totally entertained.
Well, I can't wait to see it.
It's gonna be great.
All right, well, let's get underway.
All right.
As always, we like to kick things off by covering a few of the basics, starting with the accommodation. Evergreen Tours offers a deluxe style of touring. From start to finish, all our hotels are fabulous. Supremely comfortable and centrally located. The service at every hotel is superb. Nothing is too much trouble, and porterage is included, so your bags are taken up to your room at check-in and brought down again in the morning. A daily breakfast is included, as are several dinners like this cocktail party and buffet with General Ulysses Grant and his charming wife at the Wyndham Hotel in Gettysburg. Transport is by luxury air-conditioned coach, driven by Coach Captain Jerry. We're covering a lot of ground on this trip, but the coach is comfortable and makes short work of some of the longer drives involved. The roads are excellent and there are plenty of stops along the way to stretch your legs. We have a full house on this trip, all Aussies, and they're an amazing bunch, friendly and relaxed. Towards the end of the tour, I catch up with some of the group to find out what they thought and why they chose to travel to the USA.
We've enjoyed the camaraderie and mixing with the other Australians on this tour. Some of the other bus tours that we've done in Europe, we were the only Australians, so it was a different experience to travel with other Australians, and enjoyed the rivalry around the state of origin with New South Wales and Queensland.
It's been fascinating to talk to different Americans. We like to actually get out there, learn, look and have fun.
What a great group to travel with, a lot of fun. Well, the Vibe Hotel Marysville may only be 90 minutes from Melbourne, but you'll really feel like you're getting away from it all. 100 stylish guest rooms just like this one, a pool, fitness centre, tennis court, but if all that sounds a little too energetic for you, there's a relaxing wellness centre as well. Sounds more my style. Coming up, you'll need a foot massage after taking on this mega metropolis, fabulous New York. Don't go away. We start this big trip in the Big Apple, New York City. Perhaps the greatest city on earth. This is such an exciting place to visit. The energy is extraordinary. Our hotel is right in the heart of Midtown Manhattan. It's the perfect location. New York is home to 8.5 million people living in 5 boroughs, including Manhattan, which is where you'll spend most of your time. The city is dotted with green parks and squares, which help soften this concrete jungle. They say you can always tell a tourist in New York they're the ones standing in the street looking up. Well, everywhere you go, there is something awesome to see, and I've found a way to be a total tourist, where I can sit and look up for as long as I want. Now, this is awesome. One of the best ways to get to know a new city is a hop-on, hop-off bus. And Grey Line New York will pretty much take you to any of the attractions you want to see here in New York City. And the best thing is you can get off and get on as many times as you like. So if you get hungry, hop off, grab a pretzel, hop back on. Perfect. A hop-on, hop-off bus ticket with Grey Line New York is an included activity on our tour, and there are 3 daily loops to enjoy. And the feedback from our group on New York?
We thought New York would be extremely busy, Manhattan fairly expensive. We were wrong there, it was very expensive. But Manhattan, terrific, loved it. If I had the money, both of us would love to live in New York. We haven't got the money.
It's such an exciting city.
It is an exciting city. There was plenty to do. So the expectations there were pretty right.
Ah, there you are. Now, the New York arts and cultural scene is amazing. There are over 80 museums and galleries to choose from, so there literally is something for everyone. Now, your time in New York is limited. You want to make the most of it? I'm off to the Museum of Modern Art, or MoMA, as it's known, where there are enough Picassos, Pollocks, Monets and Warhols to keep me oohing and ahhing for hours. Even for those that are not really interested in art, a visit to MoMA in New York is an absolute must. This is one of the world's premier art collections, over 150,000 pieces, with just a fraction of that number on display. The popular pop art works of Andy Warhol will be familiar to just about everyone. And what better way to finish our visit to New York than with dinner and a Broadway show? Next stop, Philadelphia, just a 90-minute drive from New York. Lunchtime and I'm feeling peckish. Now, we're not in Philadelphia for long, but we're here long enough to try the local specialty, or should that be local obsession? I'm talking about the famous Philly cheese steak. Now, that's beef, onions, melted cheese on a bun. Sounds simple enough, but go online, Google it, and you will find numerous sites dedicated to rating the best Philly cheese steaks in town. Things like drip factor, I'm not quite sure what that refers to, but it sounds interesting. All right, I'm gonna give it a try right now. Oh, that looks amazing, thank you. All right, here we go. Oh yeah. I'm giving this one a 10. On the road again, and we travel through Lancaster County, home to the second largest Amish community in the USA. Now, from the bright lights of New York to no lights, here, of course, in Amish culture, electricity is forbidden, along with motorised transport, so they still use horse and cart, and even buttons are considered a little risque. Anyway, we've been invited to take a look around and learn more. These Anabaptists came to the New World from Europe to escape persecution, and today the community continues to practice a traditional lifestyle. Now, we can't talk to a member of the community on camera. Photos and video are forbidden, but we can show you round a typical Amish farm. And I have to say, it looks like a pretty idyllic lifestyle. No computers, no TV, no mobile phones, although some concessions are made for running a business. For me, the nation's capital, Washington DC, is one of the biggest surprises on this tour. It's such a beautiful place, with its regal monuments and museums. We have a 2-night stay here, so there's plenty of time to get to know the city a little better. Our guided tour includes the Lincoln Memorial and the haunting Vietnam and Korean War memorials. We happen to be there Memorial Day weekend, with many veterans in town to mark the occasion. It's a short drive across the Potomac River to Arlington Cemetery, one of America's most revered historic sites, and the final resting place of more than 300,000 service personnel from every US conflict since the American Revolution.
Arlington Cemetery was something we were really keen to see, and the atmosphere was just, we thought it was great. Even though it was hot and humid, to stand in front of the JFK or the Kennedy graves was really something. We were aware there was a funeral occurring at the time we were there. We could hear the drums in the background, and I think that just enhanced the mood. It was something that we'll never forget.
Now another travel tip from Sunwild Holidays, your tour specialist. There are some simple ways to help you stay healthy overseas. Eat freshly cooked food and avoid peeled vegetables or fruit that may have been washed in contaminated water. And always use a good insect repellent. For more travel tips and an exclusive viewer offer on today's tour, visit the Sunwild Holidays website.
Now, you're going to hear a lot about the founding fathers during this trip. Names like Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, Abraham Lincoln, and of course, George Washington, the general who led the Americans to victory in the Revolutionary War against the British and later became the Republic's first president. And it is possible to get to know George Washington pretty well during this trip, thanks to the good work of the charming Mount Vernon Ladies Association here at the home of George Washington, Mount Vernon. George Washington and his wife Martha lived here at Mount Vernon for 40 years, from the time of their marriage in 1759 until the death of the first president in 1799. Today, it's a fascinating insight into 18th century life. Tour the main house, outbuildings and grounds. The gardens are absolutely stunning, as are the views of the Potomac River. Now, one of the great ironies about the Founding Fathers, if you like, was the fact that they all owned slaves. And while it's documented that privately they condemned the practice, the reality was that slavery was fundamental to the economy here in Virginia and the rest of the colonies. And it's the issue that ultimately resulted in the Civil War. More on that shortly. Now here's your chance to win a touring package to amazing Thailand and Cambodia with our series competition. This prize for 2 people includes return airfares to Bangkok, 3 nights with breakfast at the fabulous Centara Grand at Central World, a 5-day boutique bike tour from Bangkok to Siem Reap with Grasshopper Adventures, suitable for riders of all levels, including accommodation, all meals and a sunrise visit to stunning Angkor Wat. And 2 final nights of pampering with breakfast at the Shintamani Club Resort in Siem Reap. For this incredible adventure, you'll both receive luggage to match, High Sierra wheeled duffel bags, backpacks and laptop backpacks. And gents, pack a holiday wardrobe to the value of $500 from our friends at Uberman Menswear in Brisbane. There are also 5 runner-up prize packs with a Travel-On anti-theft tour bag, Uberman tea and more. Just tell us in 25 words or less your most amazing travel adventure so far and why. To enter, visit tourtheworld.com.au. Next stop in our Tour the World time machine, Colonial Williamsburg. Williamsburg was the state capital of Virginia in the early to mid-1700s, a time when the colonies were becoming increasingly testy with British rule. Now, one of the most interesting things about Colonial Williamsburg, and there are lots of interesting things, is that you're not too sure where the town ends and the historic creation begins. This is a living, breathing, working 18th century town. Cars give way to horse and carts. There are townsfolk in period dress living in these 18th century homes. And as it turns out, those townsfolk are more than a little peeved at the British governor, am I right?
Absolutely, sir.
All right, well, let's go find out why. There's a commotion brewing on the common. The British governor appears to have stolen the town's supply of gunpowder. An elder statesman manages to quell the revolution, for now. But before long, the Revolutionary War will begin, signalling the end of British rule in the New World. Wow, Colonial Williamsburg is the closest any of us is going to get to time travel. Time for a special offer from Vibe Hotels, part of TFE Hotels. If you're planning a visit to Melbourne anytime soon and you'd like to get away for a spell, Marysville is perfect. Jump online after the show to tfehotels.com for the latest special offers. And while you're here, do visit Radius Cafe. Well, that looks superb. And coming up, we try some 18th century chocolate. Not quite what you'd expect. Now, there are lots and lots and lots of things to do here at Colonial Williamsburg, but for me, it's all about priorities, and that includes trying some 18th century chocolate. Yum. Now, it didn't come in a bar, it came as a liquid, and because sugar was so outrageously expensive, it was flavoured with other things like nutmeg, cinnamon, even a little dash of cayenne pepper. Oh yeah. See, as I say, it's all about priorities. Conflict marred much of the New Republic's early history, and none was more devastating than the Civil War, including the Battle of Gettysburg in 1863. We visit the Gettysburg National Military Park Museum to learn more. The Civil War saw the North and South take up arms against each other, resulting in horrific casualties as high as 2% of the entire population. Today, the peaceful town of Gettysburg is remembered as the site of the bloodiest battles of the war, but also for Abraham Lincoln's historic Gettysburg Address.
I actually read a book on the Gettysburg battle before I came over. I wanted to learn a little bit about the American Civil War before we actually got there. Best thing I ever did, because actually taking the trip through Gettysburg, both the bus trip and walking some of those fields, gave me a bit of a perspective, and just, but it was really good to sort of read something and then put the picture together.
In many cases, they were fathers and sons, brothers, cousins, and everything else who had, differing perspective about what the Civil War was all about. So they were fighting each other, and they've had more killed in that war than nearly all their other wars put together.
Now, you and I have grown up listening to John Denver's Country Roads, and it's all about the beautiful Blue Ridge Mountains here in Virginia. And we're lucky enough to be spending a night in those mountains at the Shenandoah National Park. Now, this is renowned as being one of the most beautiful spots in the whole of the United States. And it's all about mountain mamas, moonshine and magic. Take me home, Country Roads. Our visit to the beautiful Shenandoah National Park is a chance to unwind after the hustle and big city bustle of our first few days on this trip. It's such a magnificent place. We enjoy a guided drive through the park, established in 1935. Then it's time to settle into the rustic surrounds of the Skyland Resort with its absolutely sensational views. I could quite easily wake up to that view every morning. The afternoon drifts away and it's time for a group dinner and the chance to get to know my fellow travellers a little better. And as the sun sets over the beautiful Blue Ridge Mountains, we say farewell until part 2 next week. Now, if you think this tour ticks all the boxes on your holiday checklist, then call Evergreen Tours or go online to evergreentours.com.au. For more episodes of Tour the World, visit our website or track us down on Facebook. Well, that's us done for this week, but of course, that is only the beginning of this journey, because next week we head deep into the deep south, including gorgeous Charleston and Savannah, Memphis and New Orleans. Extraordinary. Now, special thanks this week to the Vibe Hotel Marysville and TFE Hotels for their hospitality, and of course, as always, to Evergreen Tours. They really do go out of their way to make every tour an unforgettable one. Well, I'll see you next week. Bye for now.